What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. I want to give a quick little rendition of today where I think the price is going to go. To all my new subscribers or people who aren't aware, maybe haven't seen the videos, I do think that we're going to go lower. I do think that the price will go somewhere between, I would say somewhere between like 185 and maybe 183, something like that, and then down to a 135. I'm sorry, the 0.69 over here. It's very common. It's actually not uncommon at all for price whenever it goes down to the 618 to go just below it, and I've often found that it tends to go right to the 0.69. I mean, we can go back and just see, I think, let's see, from like this bottom to this top here. Yeah, we found support directly on the 0.69 right there. Maybe from this low to this high, again, you found support on this 0.69 right there. If we were to even take from the top to the bottom instead of the bottom to the top, you found resistance on the 0.69 this time. You know what I mean? So it's an area that happens. I know I just showed 3 examples where that happens, but it's not the guarantee for Bitcoin Cash. It more often actually goes around like the 0.5, I would say, as far as retracements go. While we're over here, I wanna point something out. I've pointed it out in a few of my videos. I know I have, but I haven't gone into extensive detail. But Senior Scientist, you pointed this thing out, talking about this move right here. From if we look at this, guys, if we look at this, this little move right here, and I say little, but that's a big move. I mean, from bottom to top. Let's see, how much was that? That was 237%. If we go back over to this move here, and I'll zoom out so you can kind of see the comparison. But if we go from bottom to top here, that's 263%. They're pretty similar, pretty similar overall growth-wise. If I put a top on this line, even we go back, they topped in a very similar area. If we look at it, kind of zoom out, very similar moves, right? You had your lows or like the end of your bear cycle, and then your first, like, I guess this was the first real pump here, but kind of not really, right? This was your first real pump. This was, I would say, your first real pump that took you out of this kind of range. Very similar moves for sure. But this one the differences, in my opinion, are that this one came after a year of moving sideways, where this one came after like more of like a month of moving sideways and a lot of volatility beforehand. You know what I mean? So it's I would say different conditions. Not only that, the volume profile is very different than what we saw back here. Not only is this spike in volume different, but this spike is standalone. We had no volume in like before or after it, really. Where this one, you had a lot of volume this week, a lot of volume this week, you had a lot of volume the week after, and you even had pretty sizable volume last week too, I would say. Nothing really in comparison other than this spike in volume here. I would say that it's different. Beyond that, even this purple line, I know it doesn't exist back here, but if it were to exist, maybe it would like, even if it were to come down or slope down or something like that, or even if it was to slope down more like this, I feel like that'd be dramatic. This top was nowhere near the purple line, where here it is. Also, if we were to look at the RSI, back here where this move happened, it was this peak in the RSI. We actually bounced off the 50, where here we had the strongest, the most overbought that the RSI has ever been. I would expect that we see a bigger drawback than this here. But if we were to have a similar drawback, because they definitely look similar. To some degree, they look similar. To some degrees, they look different. If we were to have a similar move, this thing bottomed right above the 382. Right above the 382 right there. And the 382 for where we're at now, that's just above $200. So if we were to bottom on this move down just above the 382, maybe we bottom around 210, 215, maybe a little bit lower than that, whatever. But that's definitely something to keep on the radar. Shout out to Senior Scientist for pointing that out. Because I think it definitely is something that is a potential possibility. It could happen. I'm definitely leaning more toward the belief that we do go lower than the 382, because I'm fairly positive that out of like all of Bitcoin Cash's moves, that's the only time that it actually didn't even break the 382. I mean, you can go back and just measure all these like little lows to highs here. Even this little thing, it went just barely above the 0.5. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the minimum move that I'm expecting here. Just above the 0.5 would be right around like 180, 185. That's why I'm saying that. which isn't too far away from the 382 anyways. You know, even if you bought around the 382 at like 210 and it went $20-$30 lower, oh no, just buy more. Like, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And I do think it goes lower. I would think actually, guys, it probably goes below the 0.5. That's my bias at the moment. I would think that we go somewhere around the 618, probably, you know, after having all this sideways movement and then coming down after this big, beautiful, miraculous move. I would expect that we do test the previous top of this range here as support. If not the top there, you know, maybe this exact tip, maybe this exact tip, you know, somewhere in that area. That's my expectation, but it's definitely something to watch for, this potential 382 bounce. If it were to happen, if you share my bias in thinking that it's going to go lower, clearly you wouldn't be buying right here, right? So what do you do if it does bounce from here and then it goes up? Well, basically, if it bounces from there and then it goes up, you would wait for confirmation that this is, because what it could do, it could even go lower than the 382, but bounce first and then reject the 236. This is very common fib behavior, right? You find a little support on this area, come down to the next one, find support, resist the area that you found support before, and then go lower. That's totally possible. We could just shoot through the 382 even. It's, you know, either way is possible. But if you're like me and you do expect that we're going to go lower than this, but you're wrong. If we're wrong, the people who think like I do, then what you would look for is a bounce off the 382 and a break back above the 236, a closing day above the 236, or a closing week even above the 236 would really be indicative. And all that means, guys, is you'd basically be buying right around the same price that we're at now. Okay, so right now, I think buying here, I wouldn't say it's a good idea. But if we had this bounce and then came back up, oh no, you didn't catch the low, whatever. But you can still catch basically at the same price that we're at now. You know, you're not going to miss too much. It would be a nice little, probably like 20% move, right? About 21% of a move that you'd miss out on. And I know I'd love to catch 20%, but I feel like personally, to me, if I was to buy here, I'm gambling a bit. If I was to buy here, you know, for a short-term trade, it might be worth it, but I ultimately do think it's going to go lower, and I'm not trying to trade this. I'm trying to set up a buy for a long-term investment. So I do think, for me, I'm going to opt out of buying here, even if we do get a bounce, which is totally, that wouldn't be out of the norm. And just because, to my Bitcoin Cash bulls out there, just because we get a bounce on this 382 does not mean that we're going to go back up higher. We very well could, in fact, reject the 236 and then inevitably go below the 382. So either way, watch out for that. I do think that this is going to be a level to pay attention to. If it's disregarded by the time we get there, okay, disregard it, you know. But for anybody setting buy orders around here, I would probably set my stop losses maybe around like 190. You know, maybe take like a 5% loss or less, something like that, like right around where this daily close was. If we go below that, then, you know, cut your losses. But then, man, at that same point, would you even want to sell? Because maybe it bottoms right around the 0.5 or just above it. That's very normal for Bitcoin Cash. Maybe it goes lower than that even too, but I would just say, if you're planning on buying here and it does go lower, just plan on buying more whenever it goes lower. You know what I mean? That would be my expectation. That would be my opinion. It's not financial advice. It's just my opinion. You know, guys, I'm not a financial advisor, but I guess that's really all I have to say. You know, shout out to Senior Scientist, because he definitely did point this out. He left me a comment, and you know, I love interacting with the community, guys. You guys are all great, and you know, it's definitely a comparable move. Like, you are not out in left field here. You're not way off the track, man. It's a comparable move, and at the moment, I would even say they very much do look similar. But there's, you know, just at a price perspective, they kind of look similar. But if you really look at it, what led to this, it's all kind of different. The volume profile is different. The RSI readings are different. The conditions, in my opinion, are different and similar. But I don't know. I don't really know too much of what to make off of that. Let's see before I end the video if maybe there's a fib over here or something. Top to bottom. Would you look at that? You rejected the 382. And if you remember, guys, if we take this top here to this bottom, you are rejecting the 382. You know, you went a little bit above it, but you're rejecting the 382. So they are similar to a certain degree. I think it's definitely worth paying attention to the 200 to 210 area, because that could be a potential bottom. But again, even if that was the bottom, the low of this next higher low, I wouldn't buy it personally. I would wait for it to come back up above the 236, which, you know, it would have to on a weekly, on a daily, make a close above 243, I think is what I just saw, 243, which is basically right around the prices that we're at now. So if we do go that low and then bounce back up, I'd probably just buy back at the price now. So I'm not feeling the urgency to buy at the moment. And I do ultimately, guys, I definitely do still think that we are going to go lower. But it's just something to pay attention to. Definitely something to pay attention to. So if you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to see more, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Have a good day. Take care.